Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Our next weather waker is a front that could bring us some rain over the weekend, but will definitely bring us the coldest air so far this season. I'll show you what it will feel like.
Filling the gap, how local organizations are stepping up in times of need during the government shutdown. And we're following breaking news, the search for answers. Just moments ago, the governor of Kentucky gave an update on the deadly UPS plane crash. New information is straight ahead. A lot to tell you about this noon hour. We're glad you're with us. Good afternoon. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Lemmigus. Certainly a lot to dive into this afternoon. Our meteorologists are tracking a strong cold front for the weekend as we're giving you a live look behind me here in Chapel Hill. Elizabeth Gardner is on the WRAL weather patio with a look at our chance of rain and a possible fall freeze.
Yes, we're looking at a good chance for our first fall freeze. We have had temperatures down into the 30s with the potential for some patchy frost, but we really haven't seen that push of Arctic air. This is going to be our Arctic front. Now, along it, ahead of it, I should say, starting Friday, and then a secondary, very strong front that comes in on Sunday is likely to help to bring us some showers. Also, some gusty winds along this front. Ahead of the front, it's likely to be fairly warm. We're looking at 70s for highs Saturday and Sunday, but look at that high on Monday, and you can see how far that drops. So we do have a good chance of freezing temperatures, especially Monday night after all that cold air settles in. So you can see the blue shaded area. That's where we have a likely chance of seeing our first freeze. And then the light blue shaded area is possible. And of course, the western part of the state is pretty much a sure thing, but they've already seen some freezing temperatures there. What is this going to feel like? Temperatures will drop to around 32, but let's check the wind chill. At noon on Monday, once this front has come through, it's going to feel like 39 degrees at noon on Monday. So that's definitely going to be jacket weather. We'll move the futurecast wind chill forward and we'll pause it on Tuesday morning, which is when we'll see the coldest air. And that wind chill on Tuesday morning is likely to be down into the low and mid 20s. How about that? We haven't seen that in a long time. As I mentioned, we'll also have the chance of some rain with this front. I'll show you when to expect that coming up.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center following reports of a crash in Wake County. This is a live look from Sky 5 over that crash. This is on US 1 North, mile marker 92. It's just before the intersection of NC 540. We know that right-hand lane is closed. You see a lot of police here. You see that blue Charger on your screen right there. The back of that car is badly damaged. We also saw the back window completely caved in. Working to learn what happened here. But again, the right lane of US 1 near mile marker 92 in Wake County closed as police try to clean up this and figure out what happened here. Unsure of any injuries at this point, how many people may have been involved, but you can see there's some pretty heavy traffic on US 1 at this moment. We're going to keep an eye on this here in the Live Center. As soon as I find out anything else about this, I'll bring it to you.
Right during the lunch hour rush. Goodness. All right. Thank you, Michelle. SNAP users should start checking their EBT accounts. The state says partial benefits should start appearing next week. But until then, people are looking for their next meal because of the government shutdown affecting SNAP. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live at the Durham Rescue Mission. Carly, this is why they're having an emergency food drive at all.
And this is happening right now. The Durham Rescue Mission is giving away 2 bags of food for anybody who's in need. Non-perishable items such as cans of soup or tuna or peanut butter. And the demand here is just huge right now. People are really taking advantage. I mean, within minutes of this opening, we saw dozens of cars in line to pick up food. We also saw dozens more who actually walked in and they were waiting by the gate before the gates even opened. The leaders of Durham Rescue Mission got the idea for a food drive when they saw the demand was so high following a lapse in funding for SNAP benefits.
The Durham Rescue Mission has been right here in this community for 52 years, and we have made it a point to help our neighbors. When we see neighbors in need, we want to help any way we possibly can.
Good morning, God bless you.
And like I said before, this is happening right now. It's been happening since 11 a.m. and they have plans to keep going until 3 p.m. today or until supplies last. So if you need some help, you can come out here to Durham Rescue Mission. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Durham.
And the town of Gardner is addressing the ongoing food insecurity with a community food drive there. They're collecting non-perishable food items through November 26th, and you can drop them off at several locations around town. Look for the green recycle bins and food drive signs. You can also find a list of resources and how you can help by scanning the QR code right here on the screen. You can also go to WRAL.com.
Breaking news, city officials in Louisville, Kentucky are still giving a media briefing on that deadly UPS plane crash. We have learned that 9 people were killed. The death toll is expected to rise. Michelle McConaughey is in the WRAL Live Center with the update from Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear.
Yeah, Renee, the governor actually just walked off camera here. He just ended that conference that he was talking about there. He declared a state of emergency in his press conference, saying that really allows the resources to be used when they are readily available. He says this is a recovery effort at this point. 9 fatalities have been confirmed, but he is fairly certain that will grow by at least 1. Area hospitals said they've treated 15 patients. 13 have been discharged, but 2 burn victims remain in critical condition. Beshear added that an NTSB team of at least 28 people are in Kentucky right now. Passenger flights to and from the airport are now resuming on a limited basis. That airport reopening earlier this morning. The governor says he will tour the crash scene with the mayor of Louisville later this afternoon and have another update later as well.
The ACC Field Hockey Conference Championship is happening in Louisville. Wake Forest and Syracuse were supposed to play at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. That game is now at 1 o'clock today. Duke and UNC were set to face off at 1 o'clock today in the semifinals. They will now play each other on Thursday. The time is still yet to be determined.
New at noon, video shows the moment former Guilford County Representative Cecil Brockman was released from jail. Brockman posted bail at 3:30 yesterday afternoon, but was not released until 9 this morning. The High Point Detention Center said the delay was because they didn't have the ankle monitor for his release. Brockman is facing 2 felony counts for statutory sex offense with a child as well, and 2 felony counts of indecent liberties with a child. He resigned from the legislature last week.
Breaking news, a portion of Leesville Road north of 540 is closed right now after a truck overturned. This happened around 8:15 this morning. A dump truck carrying a load of sand overturned. Crews had to shut down traffic between Shady Grove Road to Eagle Heart. Leesville Road is expected to remain closed until 1 o'clock. No word on what caused the driver to lose control or if anyone was injured. State Highway Patrol is looking for the driver of a stolen car that led troopers on a high-speed chase and crashed this morning. The chase started on I-440 near Pool Road. It ended near I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. The driver eventually crashed into a guardrail and ran off the road. We're working to find out who the driver is.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country will explore the possibility of performing nuclear tests. The announcement comes after U.S. President Donald Trump ordered Washington to begin nuclear testing programs. And Putin told Russian leadership they will adhere to the obligations under the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. However, if the U.S. and other countries test nuclear weapons, Russia would respond as they see fit.
This morning, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments in a landmark case that could expand economic powers of the president and reshape trade law. The question before the High Court, did President Trump exceed his authority to impose import taxes on goods from nearly every country in the world without approval from Congress? If the High Court rules against the president, the administration might have to refund the bulk of the $165 billion in tariff revenue. President Trump has renominated tech billionaire and Elon Musk ally Jared Isaacman to serve as administrator of NASA. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has been serving as the acting administrator. President Trump initially nominated Isaacman last year, then withdrew his backing in June during the president's rift with Musk. Isaacman has twice traveled to space on private SpaceX missions. NASA is currently racing to return astronauts to the moon.
Taking a look at stocks this afternoon, looks like the Dow is up about 208 points. So yesterday, not quite the day a lot of people saw, considering the fact that people are wondering if the investment in companies that are investing in AI is truly worth it. But again, looking pretty good. We'll see how things end at the closing bell at 4:30. Durham Mayor Leo Williams will serve another term in office. Williams held off challenger Anjani Bell to keep his seat, and he says his top 3 priorities for his next term are reducing crime, tackling a rising homelessness problem, and creating an economic development plan. 2 members of the city council lost their bids for re-election. Deidreana Freeman and Mark Anthony Middleton will be replaced by Matt Kopik and Shanetta Burris.
Mitch Colvin is headed back to the mayor's office in Fayetteville. The 4-term incumbent won re-election, defeating current Mayor Pro Tem Kathy Keefe Jensen. Colvin won with more than 60% of the vote. Colvin's priorities include infrastructure, housing, and promoting quality education in the community. He briefly dropped out of the mayor's race earlier this year before jumping back in just a month later. And remember, you can go to WRAL.com or the WRAL News app for more results from the municipal election. Choose your county to see who won.
Next at noon, Election Roundup. A look at the election results around the country and what this could mean for future political power.
Disturbing accusations, what a Fort Hood Army doctor is accused of doing, and what happens while he awaits an investigation.
Plus, a student safety survey. School board leaders plan to go straight to the source to determine specific concerns here locally.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
All right, breathe in, breathe out. As we give you a live look at Lake Gaston on a pretty beautiful Wednesday. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or your streaming device. Dozens of women have come forward with disturbing accusations against a Fort Hood Army doctor. The women accused Dr. Blaine McGraw of inappropriately touching them during exams. They say that he secretly recorded them. And according to attorneys, McGraw placed his phone in his breast pocket or pretended to take notes on his phone before and during procedures. And they say he was actually taking photos and videos of his patients. His accusers say he stole their dignity and their trust in the medical field.
He crossed professional and personal boundaries in ways that made me feel deeply uncomfortable and unsafe. He then further violated my trust by lying in his clinical report about the things that he said and the ways that he touched me during that visit.
And obviously, that's just one account. Several victims say Dr. McGraw did not allow other people in the room during their appointment. That included nurses or spouses. Fort Hood suspended the doctor while the investigation plays out.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, a federal judge has ordered prosecutors in the criminal case of former FBI Director James Comey to produce records from that investigation. We've just learned this, saying he was concerned that the Justice Department's position had been to indict first and investigate later. The judge instructed prosecutors to have grand jury materials and other evidence by the end of the day tomorrow. Comey's attorneys had argued that they were at a disadvantage because they had not been able to review materials that were gathered years ago. Comey was indicted on September 25th by a federal grand jury on charges of making a false statement and obstruction of a congressional proceedings. That indictment stems from his 2020 testimony before the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. He has pleaded not guilty in all of this.
Michelle, thanks. Victory parties ran late into the night for Democrats, sweeping key races, hoping to dismantle the Trump agenda. New Jersey and Virginia have new Democratic governors. New York City elects its first Muslim mayor. And California voted in favor of congressional redistricting that would favor Democrats. It was a historic night in New York City's general election for mayor. Voters selected Democrat Zohran Mamdani to usher in a new age of politics. The 34-year-old becomes the city's first Muslim and South Asian mayor. More than 2 million votes were cast, according to New York's Board of Elections, the most since 1969. Mamdani's proposals to freeze rent, make public buses free, and provide universal child care by taxing the wealthy resonated with voters. Voters in New Jersey also made history, electing the state's first female Democratic governor. Mikey Sherrill defeated Republican Jack Ciattarelli by more than 400,000 votes. The former Navy helicopter pilot and attorney campaigned heavily against President Trump and his policies. Her victory helps maintain Democratic control of the office 1 year after Trump made gains in that state.
Meanwhile, Renee, voters in Virginia elected the state's first female governor. Democrat Abigail Spanberger takes the office from Republican leadership. The former Democratic Congresswoman and CIA officer defeated Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears. Now, minutes after polls closed in California, the Democrat-led redistricting measure, Prop 50, was projected to pass. 64% of voters approved that measure. It counters Republican gerrymandering in other states. Prop 50 essentially allows Democrats to redraw congressional lines with new ones that will make 5 U.S. House seats more favorable for their party. California Governor Gavin Newsom celebrated that victory, saying his state was resolute.
We stood tall and we stood firm in response to Donald Trump's recklessness. And tonight, after poking the bear, this bear roared with an unprecedented turnout in a special election with an extraordinary result.
President Trump took to his social media platform to distance himself from the disappointing results for Republicans. He blamed the government shutdown and his absence from the ballot.
We are thankfully nearing the end of Atlantic hurricane season, and experts are looking into the best and the worst forecast models. According to meteorologist Chris Michaels, a brand new AI model is coming out with top honors.
Definitely a shocking turn of events for those of us that really hadn't gotten a chance to use this model. It's called the Google DeepMind AI model, and according to experts at the University of Miami, it was the most accurate when trying to project where a storm would go in 5 days. The least accurate, the GFS, otherwise known as the American Forecast Model, it had its worst year since 2005. Let's talk a little bit about this DeepMind AI model from Google. It started being used just this June, and it's working with, not against, the National Hurricane Center. So assuming that this skill continues, it would actually be a good thing. But it's known as machine learning modeling. That's what a lot of artificial intelligence is. So we're talking about how that pertains to weather models and how this could be a thing to benefit us moving down the road. That's right now on WRAL.com on Ask the Meteorologist. Now, hopefully we don't have to use this model very much moving forward this year, because statistically speaking, we're about 95% of the way through Atlantic hurricane season. That ends on November the 30th.
Chris, thank you. Look at the blue sky and sunshine out there. Just a gorgeous day. Elizabeth Gardner, I know you're in the shade, so you have the coat on, but you'll be shedding that pretty soon.
Absolutely. I promise you, if I was standing in the sun, I would have this off. But it is a little bit breezy. And of course, that means that it feels a bit cooler here in the shade. We take a live look at the gardens behind me, and it just looks lovely. You can see some of that color back through the trees there. Fall color looking so gorgeous right now. We're nearing the peak of the fall color right here in our area. Mid-60s currently, but the wind is southwest at 16 miles per hour, and it's a little bit blustery out there. We're on our way into the mid-70s for highs this afternoon. But take a look at some of the wind gusts. Those are in the white boxes on the right. So we're gusting to 23 in Fayetteville, 19 in Goldsboro, 25 in Southern Pines. So it is a bit blustery out there. Winds gusting up to 24 up around South Hill, Virginia. So we'll continue this on through the afternoon, gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour. And that will continue until we hit sunset. And then very slowly we'll begin to see the winds tapering off. And it won't be quite as breezy tomorrow. It's worse in some other places up to the northeast. We're looking at high wind advisories and warnings as winds could gust 50 to 60 miles per hour, and we're looking at gusts up to 30 miles per hour. Plenty of wind and dry air that will bring us fire danger, so outdoor burning is discouraged for today and really all the way through Thursday and Friday too. It won't be as windy, but we'll see gusts 15 to 20 on Thursday and again on Friday. So you want to put off that outdoor burning until we get to the weekend when we'll have a chance to see a bit of rain moving in. What's creating all this wind? High pressure is sitting over us right now, sliding eastward with a low moving in behind it. We'll actually have a weak cold front that comes through this evening. The pressure difference between the high and the low, and right about where that front is where the winds will be gustiest. Now, that all will continue to slide eastward with a second high building in. That's going to bring us some cooler temperatures for tomorrow. Right now, it is 70 in Roxborough, almost 70 in Fayetteville, Southern Pines, and Goldsboro, and we're sitting in the mid-60s still here in the Triangle. You can see it is 69 in Fuquay Arena, but 65 in Cary and Apex, 64 in Knightdale, 65 in Wake Forest. Highs are in the mid-70s for this afternoon, and the mountains have a little bit to do with that. I'm going to show you why coming up in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk about the next front. So we have a weak front. We have a bunch of them, so hold on. One this evening that'll be dry. Another one that will be fairly weak on Friday night, but then the big one comes in on Sunday, and that is the one that's going to drop our temperatures so dramatically. It's going to bring us the coldest air that we've seen so far this fall, and we have a good chance for frost and or freeze getting into Monday night and Tuesday morning. We'll likely have much colder than normal temperatures all the way through the next 10 days. But it will be a mild weekend. Highs 70 on Friday, mid-70s Saturday and Sunday. But then the temperatures take a big dive. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit more about the timeline for the rain this weekend.
Elizabeth, thank you. Child care crisis for the first time in years. North Carolina saw the number of programs decline. Coming up at 4, why providers say they are being forced to close their doors.
And then at 6, student safety. Training is set to begin for Wake County Schools' new safety response protocol. How the Code Red replacement will keep your children safe.
Time is ticking. If your holiday plans involve booking a flight, you better hurry when the best deals are expected to disappear.
Hey, just a heads up, if you want holiday flight deals, the best time to find savings on holiday.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Wake County Schools is looking for your teenagers' thoughts about how safe they are on campus. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains a survey for high schoolers to share their ideas and concerns.
Cary High here is one of the 32 high schools in the county that will be receiving this new survey. Today, Wake school leaders will walk through how to craft these questions that are all about keeping your students safe. The survey will address 3 topics: how schools can be safer, whether students feel safe right now, and whether they're likely to report a concern. WRAL has been reporting about security improvements in Wake schools for years. Since 2019, the school system launched a panic button for employees, implemented a visitor screening protocol, and made upgrades to their Code Red system. WRAL education insider Emily Walkenhorst took a closer look at what all will be included in the survey.
I combed through the district's agenda. It included a link to a draft of this survey. It had several multiple choice questions, open-ended questions, asking students to provide insight on what specific things they have concerns about.
The district plans to release the survey on December 1st. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Cary.
An anonymous post on social media groups is calling for the state's teachers to have a call-out protest. Teachers would call out on Friday and Monday to protest the lack of a state budget. An informal survey released yesterday showed less than 3% of the state's teachers have said they plan to call out. The North Carolina Association of Educators says that it's not behind that post. The Wake chapter says more time is needed to plan for any kind of action. And Granville school leaders set the date for parents to share their thoughts about closing 2 elementary schools. District staff shared the proposals to close Wilton Elementary and CG Creedle at last night's meeting. Now, they say the move should help save the district $1.3 million each year. And the school board also saw new maps of what would happen to student assignment and transportation. They set a public hearing for November 18th, and a decision is expected at December's meeting.
Troopers are searching for a driver they say led them on a chase in a stolen car before crashing. This chase started at I-440 in Pool Road, and it ended with the crash at I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. Allie Calabar explains how this investigation is playing out.
And we saw 4 different law enforcement agencies searching about a 2-mile stretch on Centennial Parkway and then Lake Wheeler Road, sifting through this wooded area, all surrounding where that crash happened near I-40. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker showing how this high-speed chase ended. Troopers said the driver was going 110 miles per hour on 440 near Pool Road. When officers tried to stop him, he kept going. The driver took the Lake Wheeler Road exit, hit the median, and then catapulted over the guardrail. He then ran into the woods. We saw troopers search throughout the woods across from NC State and State Farmers Market. Listen to this police radio traffic of them tracking down the driver.
We're running. I got wet footprints in here. We had good, clear, visible footprints from where he went through that creek. There was a white glove like in the briars that got caught up.
Now, other police radio traffic indicates that they found footprints near this Exxon right here. Now, we're still working to find out the identity of the driver. We know as of this morning, State Highway Patrol is still searching. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
Gas teams are working to repair a natural gas leak that shut down a road in Wake Forest. Actually, Sky 5 was above that scene during our 9 o'clock newscast on Fox 50. First responders were on scene while teams worked to repair that line on South Main Street, but there are no evacuations in place or impacts to gas service. There's no timeline yet for that repair and no word just yet on what caused that leak. Democrats won big in key races across the country. Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill will be the next governor of New Jersey. She defeated Republican Jack Ciattarelli, who was endorsed by President Trump. Meanwhile, in New York City, voters chose Democrat Zohran Mamdani as their new mayor. In Virginia, Democrat Abigail Spanberger has become the state's first female governor. She beat out Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Wares.
President Trump says Republicans have a lot to learn from Tuesday's election night losses. The president met with Senate Republicans at the White House this morning to discuss the election results and the government shutdown. The president said he thought the GOP's poor showing was the result of the public blaming their party more than the Democrats for the historic shutdown. Once again, he pressed lawmakers to do away with the filibuster.
I think it's very important. We have to get the country open, and the way we're going to do it this afternoon is to terminate the filibuster. And it's possible you're not going to do that, and I'm going to go by your wishes. You're very smart people. We're good friends.
Democrats are hopeful that victories in nearly every major state-level contest Tuesday night will help power them to wins in next year's midterm elections.
Some teenage drivers can upgrade their provisional licenses online. A parent will first complete their portion of that process, and then the teenager will do the same. Previously, eligible teenagers had to go to an office in person to upgrade from a limited provisional license to a full provisional license. The DMV also rolled out online services for license renewals that are not Real ID.
Holiday headaches. Literally, the seasonal things in your home that could trigger migraines.
Plus, meal giveaway. There is still time to swing by the Durham Rescue Mission to grab a bag of food if your family is struggling because of the government shutdown. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
It is that time of year for cozy fall scents, but use caution if you suffer from migraines.
Scents and what we call osmophobia tends to be a critical trigger for a lot of those who have migraines. Sound is another one, light is another one, but scents specifically.
Headache specialists say migraine sufferers need to watch out for artificial scents, and that includes candles, air fresheners, perfumes, and more. Strong artificial scents in many of these products can trigger migraines by activating pain nerves in your head.
Best to take that rescue or abortive medication as early as possible because we know those abortives work best when you take them at the onset of a headache, even in the midst of an aura before the actual headache phase starts.
It's important to know the scents that bring on a migraine can vary from person to person. So contact a doctor to determine the best treatment options for you.
Right now, people in need of emergency food assistance can stop by the Durham Rescue Mission. Volunteers are stepping up to support local families during the government shutdown. The state health department says people who rely on SNAP benefits should see partial payments next week. Today's giveaway runs through 3 o'clock. And you can find a list of resources and how you can help by scanning the QR code you see on your screen right here. You can even go to WRAL.com for more information.
Weather pattern shift. A big change is on the way for the U.S. Millions of Americans will get their first taste of winter. Elizabeth is standing by with how low temperatures will go in our area.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, an update to a story that we brought you on Monday about a shooting on East Millbrook Road at a bus stop. Police have just said they have arrested this suspect here, 34-year-old Antoine Sanders. They also say the man that was brought to the hospital has died. That victim was 34-year-old Chase Ferguson. He died as a result of his injuries. The suspect here on your screen that you see, Antoine Sanders, he is currently charged with murder.
Our Teacher of the Week is all about celebrating the diverse cultures in his school community. WRAL's Ken Smith is at East Millbrook Magnet Middle School for this well-deserved recognition.
The concept, design, thinking process, can I get someone to read the definition?
A career in education was not DeJuan Ashford's first career choice.
Everybody say emotion.
But the decision to become a teacher is one of his most gratifying.
How did you get into teaching in the first place? How did you pick teaching as a career?
I think teaching kind of picked me.
That was more than 6 years ago when an injury as an environmental specialist changed the trajectory of his career path and led him to the classroom.
In the midst of me burning my arm, I played football, so I went to go coach football while I was recovering. And so I fell in love with it, with the coaching thing. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just go back to school and become a teacher so that I can coach. Remember, there's no wrong answer, okay? There's no wrong answer.
Now, as a career and technical education teacher specializing in engineering concept, Ashford has the best of both worlds, developing young minds and coaching football athletes.
I don't look at the wins, the losses. I don't look at the grade, the A, the B, the C, or the D. I look at, are we learning? Are we growing? If we're growing, that's all that I care about is, are you giving max effort and are you growing? If you give the effort, I have no doubt what's going to come from it. Let's read, think, and write.
Ashford says seeing that growth and knowing he is part of that process is extremely rewarding.
You're talking about showing kids how to think, how to use their imagination, and they can bring anything from that imagination into the real world.
Mr. Ashford.
Yes?
You are WRAL's Teacher of the Week.
Oh, wow.
Give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Now, if you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Troops are being deployed in the mountainous region of Japan to help contain a surge of bear attacks. Since April, more than 100 people have been injured and at least 12 killed in those attacks across Japan. Brown and Asiatic black bears have been spotted near schools, train stations, supermarkets, and at a hot springs resort. The government estimates that the bear population is roughly 54,000 bears. We're also getting a look at widespread damage caused by Typhoon Kalmegi and the central Philippines. Kalmegi is believed to have led to 85 deaths and another 75 people are missing. Extreme flooding trapped people on their roofs and swept others away. The storm blew into the South China Sea today with sustained winds that were going pretty fast, up to 112 miles per hour. Wow.
Meanwhile, we have beautiful weather here, and we have some breezy conditions. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner on the weather patio with a look at how warm it's going to get and then how cold it will get later on. Elizabeth.
Surprisingly warm for us this afternoon. Temperatures are going to climb on up into the mid-70s, so it's going to feel very comfortable. We take a live look here at the gardens, and you see that sunshine coming through the trees, looking beautiful, some of that fall color, and the lovely pumpkins that are out here with me. Here's a look at what's happening right now. Our next weather maker is this cold front, but it's really not going to do much for us. It will drop our afternoon highs by about 10 degrees for tomorrow. So mid-70s today, mid-60s tomorrow. But that high pressure system that is moving on out of here with the winds rotating clockwise around it has helped to bring us more of a westerly, southwesterly flow today. Whenever we see a westerly flow, it tends to be fairly warm. It's coming over the mountains, and that may be a little bit counterintuitive. But when the wind goes up the mountains, it turns cooler. Once it goes down the other side, it begins to sink. Anytime we have sinking air in the atmosphere, it tends to compress and warm. So over the mountains, when you have a westerly flow, we tend to have warmer temperatures, and that's exactly what we're seeing this afternoon. Mainly highs right there in the mid-70s. We're seeing that everywhere this afternoon except up in Roanoke Rapids, where the high temperature will be around 69 degrees. Our next weather maker, as we talked about earlier in the newscast, will be a front that comes through on Sunday night. Now, we will see a separate one that comes through on Friday. That'll bring us a small chance for rain, but this is going to be the big one. This is going to be a big Arctic front that comes swinging through. So we'll have the chance for some rain on Sunday. Gusty winds behind the front and the coldest air that we've seen so far this season. So big changes for us from the weekend to Monday, looking at mid-70s Saturday and Sunday, and then only 55 on Monday as this front comes through. Here's a look at Futurecast, and we'll pause it here. Saturday at 7:30 in the morning. So late Friday night into early Saturday, there could be just a few showers. And then again, Saturday night into Sunday. This is 6 a.m. on Sunday. This is a little slower version where the rain sticks around for a good bit of the day on Sunday. If you do have outdoor plans over the weekend, keep checking back. We'll see a lot more runs of the computer models, and we'll get the high resolution ones in. We'll be able to pinpoint just how quickly that rain is going to move out on Sunday. Of course, then it may turn colder behind it just in time for there to be some snow in the mountains, and that would happen most likely late Sunday into Monday, maybe even lingering into Tuesday. We won't see any of that here. Again, here's a look at when we'll have the best chance of rain Friday night into early Saturday, and then again Saturday night into the day on Sunday. So we'll be dodging some rain over the weekend, but it won't be a washout. It's not going to rain all weekend. But once that moves by, we get into our best chance of freezing temperatures so far this fall. The dark blue area from Raleigh westward is a likely chance of a freeze all the way down into the low 30s, and then a possible chance in our eastern counties. So let's talk about some of those temperatures. Again, today really warm, a little cooler because of that front for Tuesday, and then 70s Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the big drop happens. 55 on Monday, and then just 32 for Tuesday morning. Veterans Day on Tuesday looks nice and sunny, but chilly with a high of only 50 degrees.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Promoting peace on and off the soccer field. How FIFA plans to honor athletes who work to end conflict.
Here's a look at last night's winning Mega Millions numbers. No one matched all 6 numbers, so the jackpot is now up to $843 million, and that makes it the 8th largest jackpot in Mega Ball history. If you win, you could go home with over $390 million if you take the cash option. The next drawing is Friday night, and you can watch that on WRAL during our 11 p.m. newscast. A glorious looking day. Now, as we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. Former Guilford County Representative Cecil Brockman was released from jail. He posted bail at 3:30.